In the Philippines, volunteers launched work for relief programs after 2 typhoons swept across the country. There's a new machine that is able to sort various plastics without any manual sorting. Selamat datang ke DaAi Headlines, saya Simon Gan. Terima kasih menyertai sesi berita kita. In the Philippines, 2 different typhoons made landfall in just 2 weeks. Tzu Chi volunteers carry out assessment and initiate work for relief programs to help the locals clean up their homes. Just as Tzu Chi volunteers set foot into Marikina, the local residents immediately had this to say.
We need your help, Tzu Chi!
As the flood waters recede from Marikina, the streets were a mess. Besides mud and dirt, piles of unwanted furniture are seen everywhere. Most of the locals have been staying at the temporary shelter for the past 2 days. Only now are they able to head back to their own homes.
I just came back from the shelter. I'm heading back home now, and I'm not sure about the condition of my home.
11 years ago, this place was in the same condition as it is right now when Typhoon Katsana raged through the Philippines back in 2009. This year, the same thing happened again, and the lives of the locals have been severely impacted. As the residents are busy cleaning their houses and have no time to cook, Tzu Chi volunteers set up the mobile kitchen at the local shelter and provided hot food for the residents. The volunteers' assessment of the situation was halted around evening. They have planned to start the work for relief campaign first at Malande and San Mateo. If everything goes well, they'll head into the other 2 barangays that were much severely affected to carry out the work for relief program. Besides carrying out relief work for the aftermath of Typhoon Vamco, Philippines Tzu Chi volunteers also continued their relief works in Albay. Typhoon Goni has affected many places in Albay. A total of 6 townships needed Tzu Chi's assistance. Last week, Tzu Chi volunteers have completed 2 work for relief campaigns in 2 areas of Tabaco. In the coming weekend, another work for relief campaign will be held in Camalik. Manila Tzu Chi volunteers hope that through these events, seeds of kindness will be planted in the hearts of the locals.
The affinity between Albay and Tzu Chi dates back to 2006, after Typhoon Durian hit the area, when we were carrying out the relief works. This time, we seized the opportunity to encourage more locals to join on the ranks of volunteers.
In 2 weeks, the Philippines was hit by 2 different typhoons. With the pandemic still ongoing and the devastation by the typhoons, life has been tough for the locals. Tzu Chi volunteers are doing their very best to carry out relief works so that the residents can once again live a safe and peaceful life. Also in the Philippines, Tzu Chi volunteers divided into 3 routes and head to Marikina and Quezon City for typhoon disaster assessment. In San Mateo, volunteers provided emergency food and daily necessities to help ease the lives of the local residents. Tzu Chi volunteers prepared a quick stove and a pot to cook food. This is Banaba Elementary School in San Mateo. After Typhoon Vamco swept through, many residents evacuated to this resettlement center.
The water flooded the homes of many people. Many people's houses only have roofs. They are not flooded. Fortunately, only 1/2 of our house was flooded, and we are lucky to live in the resettlement center, and you provide us with food.
At night in San Mateo, the electricity has not been restored, so the volunteers had to use flashlights or mobile phone lights as lighting. Many people have gone through the frightening typhoon night and have not eaten for a long time. At this moment, holding this bowl of hot noodle soup, they are moved.
The water level was high last night. We all frightened and couldn't sleep all night. Fortunately, we evacuated here in time. Now I'm happy to see Tzu Chi volunteers coming to cook hot food for us. We are very grateful and thankful towards Tzu Chi.
Some of the local volunteers' homes were also affected by the disaster, but they still prioritized serving the residents. One of the residents saw a familiar volunteer and donated the bamboo coin bank she had kept for a long time to Tzu Chi.
This bamboo coin bank was given by a volunteer before. Then I couldn't find the volunteer, so I have been unable to hand over the donation to Tzu Chi. Today I meet Tzu Chi again. I want to give it to you quickly. Although the amount is not large, I think that aspiration to help others is most important.
On the night after the typhoon, the affected residents may be panicked or hungry, but because of Tzu Chi providing the faint light and bowls of hot noodle soup, everyone is at ease. In China, Tzu Chi volunteers have been helping students in Yi County for more than 10 years. After visiting the students' homes in August, they made house visitations to further understand their conditions again before winter arrives. Here's more.
There are nearly 200 volunteers. The student aid team will go to 2 places. In fact, everyone has a lot of responsibilities.
In autumn in North China, Beijing volunteers left early in the morning and head to Yi County, Hebei province. They were going to provide love for the disadvantaged students from 2 schools. 6 years ago, Guo Tianliang, who once also stood on this stage and received Tzu Chi scholarship, has now graduated from university. Now, as long as he has time, when Tzu Chi volunteers invite him to volunteer, he is willing to do so.
In fact, before I graduated, I always thought that I would keep in touch with Tzu Chi after graduation so that I can return the love I've gained. So I feel the opportunity is not easy to come by. I participated in the last winter distribution. I think it was really worth it, no matter how far and how hard it was. Today, everyone may be very tired, but that kind of happiness will really exceed this hard work.
Volunteers also promote a Family Later a Month activity to encourage children to express their own feelings. Li Xuan is the initiator and the son of Tzu Chi volunteer Zheng Yunji. This time, he replaced his mother in Taiwan to give everyone a blessing.
作为同龄人的感受呢，是觉得
As a peer of my age, I feel that I can help these children. Even though my own strength is little, I feel a sense of contentment when I see them smile with your help. The satisfaction is different from the material satisfaction you get.
笑容的时候，你会非常有满足感。这种满足跟你得到物质上的这种满足是不一样的。
Gao Sai, who studies at Hebei Yixan Vocational Education, has just lost her mother, and her 2 younger sisters depend on each other. Volunteers Ren Ying has been worried about them since visiting them in August.
After returning from their visit, I need sweaters for her and her sisters. When needing these sweaters, I really needed for them in tears. I just thought that the needles and threads I needed would contain the kind of motherly love I gave them.
For more than 10 years, scholarship provided by Tzu Chi in Yi County has not only given substantial subsidies, but also convey positive energy so that children who receive the aid can become a giver to others.
On Doctor's Day, we introduced Taipei Tzu Chi Hospital's Deputy Superintendent Zheng Jingfeng, who specializes in pediatric cardiology. Recently, he received New Taipei City's medical research accreditation, recognizing his abilities and contributions.
Inside the pediatric department's ultrasound room, 7-year-old Lin is having a heart check as she is the 3rd child in the family. Miss Lin's 3 children, after birth, all came here to receive Zheng Jingfeng's care.
I know the mother very well. I knew them for quite some time, and now, when I'm in Hualien, they are here too.
My eldest son is 13 years old now, meaning that we knew Mr. Zheng 14 years ago. Back then, he had heart issues, and actually many times I did not like my children using medicine, even it wasn't necessary. But for the sake of my children and myself, he is sincere, which made me calm.
Patients who constantly come back here for 10 or more years aren't the minority in Zheng Jingfeng's clinic. Even when patients are grown-ups, they will still return here. A doctor for 30 years, besides clinical work, Zheng Jingfeng also contributed to medical education and research. He was also the coordinator of the Technology and Health Department for Women and Children, executing multiple projects and publishing hundreds of articles in global journals. After work, Zheng Jingfeng walks into communities to care for the disadvantaged, participating in international relief programs and holding free clinics overseas.
I'm able to put my interest, profession, and mission together. Although I'm busy, my family understands and can also agree with me. Actually, I like what I'm doing, to be able to combine these things together, and I'm willing to make contributions.
Working hard in the field of pediatrics for years, and receiving an honor for contribution to pediatrics from Raising Children Medical Foundation, entering the Taiwanese Biomedical Hall of Fame. This year, New Taipei City government has also given the medical research accreditation to Zhen Jingfeng, recognizing his contribution to protecting the children's health.
In Taiwan, there are 7 categories for recycling plastic. Previously, manual labor is required to sort. However, now there are technologies that can sort any plastic without the need of manual sorting. For a report, as we learn more.
We
mainly deal with plastic generated from appliances. It includes ABS, PS, PP, and PE. Even the wires in the appliances have PP material.
Pouring in the plastic fragments and using a high-speed camera to capture the spectrum filled with different materials. Once the infrared light scans the surface, vendors immediately know the type of items on a conveyor belt. Large amounts of plastic fragments are moving at a high pace through the conveyor belt.
After the vibrating screener, any material larger than 3 centimeters will be sent into the NIR machine. And after the selection process, it will be sent to 2 conveyors. It would then be sent into bags for collection.
There are 7 types of recyclable plastics in the conveyor belt, and once the infrared scans go through, every type is transparent. Nowadays in Taiwan, there are 7 types of recyclable plastics. Within the types, there are materials that share similar density and appearance. In the past, manual sorting and washing is required to sort by density. But with the NIR machine, recycling plastics does not require sorting, as it is crushed into fragments directly. This is because the computer knows how to sort automatically, saving the need for manual labor. The factory only needs a person to work, and with increase of identifying abilities, sorting becomes more accurate.
In the early eras, we used flotation using salt water to change its proportion, letting different plastics with different proportions encounter a physical separation. The NIR machine provides us with the visual data for reference so we may have a better control of incoming materials and increase the accuracy of the sorting process.
The manual flotation machine can achieve a 90% accuracy, yet the NIR machine achieves 97%. If we can construct an infrared spectrum, then we are able to identify items. In foreign countries, this machine is often used for potato grading, meat fat proportion detection, and identifying anomalies in packaging.
It increases the efficiency of our factory. We give second-hand materials a renewed life.
Ejecting the garbage, clutters, bricks, and silt. These materials will be transported to the other end via a conveyor belt, transforming it into a refillable dirt. Building material waste has always been a controversial topic within the country, as it is tough to process and can be dumped easily. Professional Chen Qiuhong worked with a representative from a sorting machine company to develop an NIR sorting machine and to see if it is applicable to sorting building material waste.
We have a metal detector rod. It detects different types of metal, whether it's copper, iron, aluminum, or gold. It can detect it. And we use the theory of electromagnetic induction to tell if there is a metal passing by.
Every metal passing by will be detected by the rod. The machine containing the rod is an important factor to this factory, as it does the job of metal sorting.
Our factory previously relied on manual labor and partial machine sorting for initial steps, but we are unable to do true sorting because manual labor is very limiting.
Finding metals through electromagnetic induction. This method for sorting building material waste is the first in the world.
Our traditional methods of sorting are outdated. The material selected will contain a lot of garbage since many items will be on top of waste, so we are unable to clean the items thoroughly through manual labor.
In the past, an excavator crushes materials while sorting is done manually, separating the garbage and recyclables, but the entire process is time-consuming and dangerous. Now with the NIR machine, eco-friendliness is achieved since dirt can be reused in landfills, decreasing the processing costs for vendors.
Now the sorting process still has mistakes, but in the past we had 60% garbage in our final product, but now reduce the amount to 20-30%.
现在可以降低到大概2-3成。
Originally, the NIR machine was used for sorting, but now it has better use through the creative minds of the developer and vendor, contributing to the environment with great efficiency.
In Jiayi, the average age of volunteers at Tzu Chi Meishan Recycling Education Station is 80. Many of them started doing recycling because they listened to Dharma Master Zheng Yan's teachings 30 years ago. Now, the volunteers hope to recruit more young people.
Tzu Chi Meishan Recycling Education Station was established in September 2001. Back then, the first volunteer in Meishan, Jiang Lingjingluan, her husband and a friend, lent a 990 square meter land to Tzu Chi for free.
We switched to many different places to do recycling. In the end, we came here. Mother Jiang said that they will allow us to do recycling on this piece of land.
The recycling work in Meishan was started with Jiang Lingjingluan inviting volunteers to visit Tzu Chi in Hualien.
We listened to the master in Hualien. We did not forget our initial aspirations after coming back. Doing recycling saves the earth. I was 46 years old and my hair was black. I've done it till I'm 77 years old with gray hair.
4 couples reached an agreement to start doing recycling in front of their houses. They carry the recyclables with a farming vehicle. Xu Rongjing has been using his third farming vehicle. 88-year-old Lin Shunfa listened to his children and stopped driving. However, this couple still upholds the vow they made on the train 30 years ago. Walking is as natural as breathing to seniors at Meishan Recycling Education Station. Li Liushi likes to save the taxi fare and collects recyclables with joy.
I walk for more than 1 hour. If I collect recyclables along the way, it will take longer. It is very natural. I want to pick recyclables on the road. I will think about what item I need to carry the recyclables. I will find them after I think about it. Naturally, they are items for me to use. I am very grateful for that.
As she gets older, for safety reasons, Li Liushi followed Dharma Master Zheng Yan's advice and moved down the mountain. Meanwhile, He Chen Suluan, who live in Gukeng, moved and volunteered more after her son bought a house near the recycling station.
My daughter hopes I visit her in Xindian. She said I could go and she will bring me back on HSR. I said I do not want to go. I do not want to play. I want to do recycling. I enjoy doing recycling.
The seniors become dedicated recycling volunteers because there's mutual love and sharing. In the early days, the recycling station did not have a kitchen. Xu Xingmei made meals and snacks.
The recycling volunteers are very joyful and hardworking. My husband listened to the master and quit drinking alcohol. I used his liquid money to buy food and cooked. Then I bought the food here for everyone to enjoy. After eating, I will place the utensils on the car. Then I continue to do recycling. I will do the dishes when I go home.
As her husband quit drinking alcohol, he has been in better health. He's more than 80 years old now and has been doing recycling for 30 years. Safeguarding the good environment at Meishan, He Jingwei, who's more than 60 years old, hopes to inspire more young people.
The master has said that we need to find time to do good deeds. I hope that we can recruit young people at the recycling station. Now there are only elderly bodhisattvas and a few young people. If possible, we want to invite young people to join us. Only young people can pass on the experience.
At the Taiping Chang'an Environmental Protection Station, there are two recycling volunteers, Liao Muyuan and Zhang Xiqing, with a combined age of more than 150 years. One used recycling bars to make a table to facilitate the sorting of fruit bags, while the other built a rainwater recovery system.
带你们来看我们的回收的系统。走，把它分成3个面。
It is divided into 3 services. Here's the side with the roof bringing the water, which flows down, and there's a filter to keep out the leaves. After the rain is collected, it goes through these pipes.
我用配管。
The Chang'an recycling station has 5 large and 3 small water towers on the left and right, plus the rear, all of which collect water which comes down from the heavens.
You can open it here to use this water. To use water over there, you open this. The reason I designed this way is that water won't run off.
第一次就先洗这个嘛，洗完地很脏就冲地，很聪明。
It's a very smart and useful design.
The recycling station was established for 16 years. There was no water source for the first 3 years, making it very difficult to operate without water.
When we wanted to have water, I had to bring it over from the house.
81-year-old Zhang Xiqing successfully solved the water problem, but his health would later fail. Long-term use of drugs for chronic illness led him to start regular kidney dialysis last May. Every time he left the hospital, he felt very weak.
I told him that after the drainage tube was removed and then go to the recycling station, but he wouldn't listen to me.
There is yet another person who treats the recycling center like it's another home. 70-year-old Liao Muyuan is retired but is quite dedicated to the recycling station. He is very observant, which helps solve a problem. The volunteers working at the station frequently have to bend over to sort fruit bags. How to make the recycling work a little easier was solved by this table.
The guava bag, when it's recycled, may have some moisture, so this table lets the water drip onto the ground, so it won't dirty a desktop.
Using a discarded iron window grating as a desktop provides some wide gaps which are well suited for sorting wet plastic bags.
A wood desktop would become damp after use. This was the experience that we got over time.
Moving the fruit bags from the ground to a specially designed table has made the work of older recycling volunteers much easier.
Sitting at a higher desk helps straighten my waist and I won't be so fatigued.
Liao Muyuan was mainly responsible for transporting recyclables to the recycling station. After spending 20 years doing this work, he still regards himself as a young man. He wasn't convinced that he was old until he suddenly felt dizzy.
Ultrasound revealed that there is a cerebrovascular occlusion, 30% on this side and 75% on that side.
Now, in addition to regular clinic visits, he goes to the recycling station 2 days a week. The rest of the time, he does handicrafts with his wife. The two have a very good relationship. Every time Liao Muyuan goes out to volunteer and takes a photo, his wife helps keep it for him.
I saved these photos for him and later he will have these special memories.
Because of his hard work and dedication, Liao Muyuan made his second life full of wonderful memories.
In Indonesia, Jakarta Tzu Chi volunteers have made eco-friendly enzymes to be poured into the lake to purify the lake water. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you and goodbye.